Hey guys, my name is Nogan and welcome to my Java series. So in today's video, we're going to be focusing on the continuation of arrays. But in today's video, we're going to be focusing on trying to discuss about two-dimensional arrays. How can we define two-dimensional arrays in Java? And also, how do we use this as almost like a guideline in terms of like how we use matrix, because arrays can be in a form of a matrix in terms of by definition. But now, if you haven't watched the previous video, we focus on the one-dimensional arrays or a single-dimensional array in Thread, of course, and also is being used in the form of like an implementation. But now, only the card on top there, just check it out because it is more context for the second video or this one of the three-dimensional array. Now let's jump to the IDE NetBeans. I'm gonna go to File, New Project. I'm gonna call this one a discount. Awesome. Let me just rename this to this public class here as a form of test discount class. So I'm going to go to right click, refract, and go to rename. So I'll rename this to test discount. Okay. So after this, I'll include first here import Java x.swing, which means I want to use Java x.swing as a means of trying to use those UI output strings, because those ones can be used, of course, to simplify how the code base looks. Because in this video, of course, I just want to use like a small little bit of like UI rendering or UI interface based on the output of this project or this program. Okay, so basically after this, in the main function here, just remove this, of course, here. I'll declare, of course, a few variables. I'll declare the first one will be final, int num, underscore ranges, visualize 5, double. Double variable, of course, will be the one that contains, of course, now the two indexes for two-dimensional. I'm going to name this discount ranges. Okay, awesome. Okay. Now, what's going to happen now here, we'll initialize, of course, these ones. So basically, this is how I normally initialize two-dimensional arrays, because it gives you a structure. Because remember I mentioned something about now a matrix. For example, let's say by definition, of course, you have a matrix A here. Now, the matrix, of course, contains a fundamental link to arrays, because think about it. If this is, of course, an array here, or matrix here, it contains, of course, 1, let's see, 1, 2, 0, and 0, and also 4, 5, 6, 1, negative 7, 8, 10, 0, 4, negative 4, 5, negative 2, and negative 3. Okay, so the point is that this can represent, of course, an array, because why? Think about it. You, of course, have your rows in this section here, your rows, and now these by definition becomes your column. So think about the same concept can be applied, of course, by a two-dimensional array, which means your first index by definition becomes your what? If you think about it from this perspective here, it becomes your rows. The second becomes your column, because you try to mimic the implementation of this into this. It's a form of like applying this concept. That's why you see right now arrays is a form of data structure, which means you can use this, of course, to store data. That's why this, of course, this numbers are data be stored, of course, in the form of a matrix, and it can also be a schematic for a form of a two-dimensional array. Okay. So based on that point now, let's try to justify the argument by saying how. Okay, so we have the first row, which is the first column, and also 0.0. Okay, then we have, of course, a second row. It is now 13 by 13, 0.0, 0.110, yeah, the percentage. And also we have now again 50 0.14. And here again now 100, 0.18. The last will be 200, 0.20. Okay, awesome. We just line this nicely to make this, of course, a little bit nice. All right, okay. As you can see now here, by definition, of course, we have this is of course now the structure of a two-dimensional array being declared, of course, now in Java based on this variable type here, and of course the indexes, as you can see in the variable name. Okay. After this now, let me declare three variables again. After this, I'm gonna say string str for the number of ordered int. This is number of ordered right. Then double again, but this double, of course, will be the one to mimic, of course, those two-dimensional arrays. So we need customer discount. Okay, 0.0. Awesome. Okay, after this now, let's continue, of course, with the initialization. So after this, I'm going to say again in the main function for loop, which means for loop will be tried to, of course, iterate, of course, a few times. Will be int I. Initialize, of course, using, of course, the final when we use this final int variable here as a form of like comparison, which means we have 5 elements by definition, as you can see, of course, based on this here. We have 5 rows, which means is the one that can be used, of course, to mimic, of course, the fundamentals of trying to find those three, which means we use this here. And then we're going to say, of course, let's say -1. The reason why I say -1 is, of course, to try to reduce the number of ranges based on the increment. I'm going to say, of course, now based on the condition here, I again, I will be greater than or equal to 0. It's a comparison operator, and also I++. Okay. Okay, so basically what's happening right now here, number is going to be 5 by definition. If it's 5, of course, from the first iteration based on when we initialize, of course, I. After that, of course, we're going to subtract, of course, -1 from that basic value. When you do it, of course, you try to minimize the number of elements contained, of course, in I by the number of ranges as a means of subtraction. Now, the condition, of course, here will be evaluated, of course, based on this as a comparison operator to say, okay, now, is I greater than 0? This, of course, you will say, if I is 5, range is 5, -1 is going to be 4, which means 4 is greater than, of course, 0, which means it's true. Then we execute, of course, fundamentally in the board of the for loop, as you can see here. Let me just remove this. Yeah, awesome. Now, in the board of the for loop here, we're going to include, of course, now if the number ordered greater than or equal to the discount ranges, we try to compare ranges. Now here we have to include, of course, the index. So the column, the first row, of course, will be I by definition. Then the column, of course, will be based on 0. It becomes much more fundamental because why? We are trying to deduce, of course, by saying, okay, based on what we have, what is happening here. Let me just take this. Okay. What's in error again here? Okay. We have to resolve this. That's fine. Okay. So then in here, we see the customer discount is equals to discount ranges, right? Then the index of I again and the index of 1. So after this, of course, let's say break for loop based on the if statement inside of it, and also now here let's initialize, of course, here we can initialize this variable. Let's say initialize to 0. Okay, it's fine. After this, okay, before I continue, let's include, of course, now based on the Java input string here, because I want to use this now just to make it much more nicer. So I'm going to come back here and just say, okay, now str num ordered is equals to now j option panel can. We're going to use, of course, this now just to make sure at least it becomes much more nicer in a way, which means I'm going to okay, let me just come back here to do this. Okay, input, so I'm going to show input dialog. Let's use this one. I'm going to say now. Now after this, now here, I'm going to say, of course, how many, this is a massive message, of course, how many items are ordered. This is for the user, of course, to input, of course, the value. Awesome. Okay, so basically after this, let's say again num. Okay, num. Now I understand why we're going to allocate. We didn't initialize, of course, this based on this. But now just say number ordered. Let's say input integer. Yeah, integer because there is an integer as an input. And let me take string ordered. Awesome. Now if you come back here, let's just remove this placeholder. Awesome. Okay. So after this, now here, I'm going to say again j option pen dot, but now here show again, but now from this point of view, show, what am I doing? Show, but now message dialog, meaning of course from this one to see, of course, this into the null again, null pointer, and also now here, one of course have another message by saying discount rate for given the items, of course, it will be ordered to be ordered, and also items is based on that. Then we'll say customer discount. Awesome. Looks good. Okay, so based on what I'm seeing right now here, it looks good, looks clean, and this is the structure's on point. Let's just try and clean and bold to see like is there any syntax errors from what we have. Awesome. Now when we run this, we need to see, of course, a nice up. Okay, awesome. So this is what I'm talking about here. So basically we just make sure that we include this, of course. Now it's a fundamental almost like a, because this is basically falls under GUI, the GUI section, of course. We'll be focusing on GUI more in the series, of course, in our coming videos. There's like, there'll be like a section where you focus on like how to use Java, Java FX, and also Java Swing. Now both of these are almost the same. They're almost the same because this is basically for Java Swing. So both of these are almost the same because they use the same concept, but the Java FX is mostly based on typing code or writing code, of course, for the output of GUI display. Java Swing, of course, is the same, but now it has a fundamental way of trying to minimize you just trying to type code for GUI, but also drag, of course, and design the GUI schematics, of course, nicely. You'll see, of course, in the following videos after maybe after this section of arrays and stuff. Also after file handling. Okay, awesome. So basically after this, let's say for now how many items ordered. I'll say for now 8. Okay, this rate for 8 items is going to be 0.0. Okay, based on, if you can see something also here, right now we have logical error. Logical errors basically, if you can see out your output statement here doesn't have to understand, because this word here, as you can see here, it's very weird because we made a mistake, of course, here based on the logic. So let's try to resolve this for now. Awesome. Let's just come here and do this. Awesome. Run this one more time. Okay, let's say 14 for now. Okay, let's go wait for 14 items is this. So basically based on that 14 items, which means that eventually if we try to, let me try to run this for now and run this one more time. I want to just check something new. Okay, let me put this here. Okay, let me say 14 again. So basically now this can make this 14 items. If you come here, which means 14 items basically, which means if you can see the comparison here, 13, it's of course now it's in the second row, which means of course it's in the first column, but now it's in the second column. It contains of course the percentages here. But what is interesting is that the comparison between 13 and 14 is different, which means 14 now falls in the category of the third row. That's why 14% or 0.4 is being displayed here. If I can just get that output again of the GUI. Now it seems like I've lost it, but it's fine. Let me just try to run it again and run it one more time. Okay, let's say 14 again and see if that makes sense. Okay, as you can see now here, basically we have now 14 items, but they fall under the category of course of 50, because 13 of course is like a range of from 0 to 0.10. Now let's just test this out of course by saying, okay, if I now have, let's say 15 items, just to compare, let's say 20 items, 20, okay, 20 items fall in the same section of that, as you can see here. Now based on this, it makes sense of course like where's it going. Let's increase of course the number one more time to see like the logic behind this. If we say, for example, let's run this one more time and say 150. Awesome. Because now it's 150, it falls under the range of 100, as you can see here, and also 200, as you can see here. So the logic of this is on point here. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. I hope the video was informative. It makes sense. It gives you of course a hint about like how we can also use a little bit of GUI or in terms of like in a program, and how it becomes much more clear and nicer. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and also see you next time.